Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 6, Beyond the Wall. Not death is the enemy. That's what we thought. A man can only admit when he's wrong and beg for forgiveness.
Oh, okay. I see you.
House Glover will stand behind House Stark. Except for the previous battle.
The King in the North!
Wow, this episode. Now, this is an episode that moments in this episode of what we've been anticipating for years. Fans of the books have been anticipating for decades.
It was like a tale of two episodes, kind of. I thought the beginning was kind of slow, and there's a lot of things I didn't like about the first half, but the last 20 or so minutes were... Yeah, they're absolutely fantastic. Just, I'm still like trying to get my feelings in check over if I liked it or not, but usually when a show does that to you, then it makes for a great episode.
There are things that I didn't like you said. I happen to like those smaller character moments, and I really did like the finale as well. There are some things in this episode that we're going to be a little critical of, little moments, little things that... But overall, I thought it was a very strong episode. I don't think it's one of the best episodes they've ever done, but I would say it falls into that top 10, top 15 range.
I think I liked where it ended up more than I liked how it got there, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, so we'll start with the first scene. That first shot, I think this is what we kind of anticipated in our preview, that Daenerys would go north. And the episode opens at Dragonstone, where it's slowly panning into a fireplace, and then it cuts to the north. And these were some of the slower moments of the episode.
I don't mind that they were slow, I just think they were kind of useless. Like, I get these are different characters that haven't really interacted before, but we know who they are. We don't need these moments of them bonding for a split second just to have anything invested in their relationships. It's not that important. It was funny sometimes, but a little cheesy at times, and also, you know, it was the same thing over and over again. They just mix-matched all 7 characters, so it's pretty much 2 different groups of characters talking at a time about literally just fucking nothing. I think the only big piece of dialogue out of that whole thing was Tormund saying to Jon, making a comparison to Mance Rayder.
People have debated, is it about pride? Is it about keeping the Lords of the North on your side? For the first episode, no, the episode where we learned that Jon was going to go to Dragonstone, I thought Jon is going to bend the knee. It's just the smart thing to do. Bend the knee, declare Daenerys your queen, and she'll fight with you. That's that. If the Lords of the North don't like it, tough. This is the situation we're in. This is a concession that I need to make. But, you know, Tormund, it's a different perspective from a wildling, because Mance Rayder said, if you don't know why I'm not going to bend the knee, then you just don't understand who we are as people. But Tormund, as a wildling, he saw the repercussions of Mance Rayder not bending the knee, and he thinks it was a mistake. So that was interesting to see that come from Tormund. I didn't think that was a character that was going to take that stance that Jon should bend the knee.
I mean, it's a very similar situation. And also you have Jorah and Jon. Like, no one thought...
See, I thought that was a great scene, talking about Jorah's father. It didn't feel unnatural to me. It felt like conversations that these people would have.
I feel like a lot of the dialogue this season has been obvious that they don't have George to write for them anymore. Not in the sense of line for line, but having a scene from which to draw inspiration on. You can tell like they're on their own thinking of different ways and different interactions and different paths for characters to take. I do think they'll end up at the same place, but without, I guess, the guideline of George's novels, they're kind of left to scatter and put things together, which I'm not blaming them by... I mean, I don't want to be overly critical of it, but I think it's very apparent in this season, especially in this episode with some of the lines.
I didn't really feel that with the dialogue. I thought the dialogue for this season especially has been very well done. The characters, even when they interact for the first time, that it feels natural. It doesn't feel like they're just putting the characters together because this is what the fans have always wanted to see, that this is where the story is progressing.
But I think a lot of fans have been critical of, like, I guess, time travel, or I get that, you know, we don't want to see them traveling and, you know, just get to the point. But I feel like when there were novels, let's say everything happened in the books as happened in the show, and Jon went to Eastwatch from Dragonstone. When you have written material, there's definitely going to be a couple chapters on that journey where they could have drawn from to fill the story. They don't have that anymore, so that's why they're kind of jumping characters, I feel like, from place to place.
Yeah, George would have taken 10 years to write these first 5 episodes.
Right.
Which is not something that I necessarily want to see. You can even see, there's a scene in this episode where Sansa says she hasn't seen Jon in weeks. I just feel as a member of the audience, I can assume that time is passing. I don't want to see the boat ride between Davos, Jon, and Jorah, what they talk about. Are they playing cards? Things that I could be critical of is maybe Jon offers the sword during that travel to Jorah. Why would that interaction happen now? It could have happened a couple weeks ago while they were traveling. But the dialogue in that scene specifically, when he offers the sword to Jorah, I thought that was a great scene. That Jorah says, no, Jorah Mormont gave this sword to you. You're going to pass it down to your children. I thought that was a great moment between the two characters.
That's kind of like a cliched moment. Like, you obviously know, like, one of those moments, like, no, it's not meant... It was given to you. You have it. It's not meant for me.
Would you rather them just brush it off and ignore it?
Brienne did it.
Yeah, and then people get critical, and then people get mad about that too.
No, I think I'm being overly critical and a douchebag, so we can move on from this. I pride myself on not being like the book reader that hates everything the show does. Then I see something, I just start getting like a little itch. I'm like, ugh, and I hate myself for it. And I truly do. And I'm sorry you have to listen to this.
I think the thing, wow, this is going in the review. This is a very candid and truthful moment. Jesus. One of the things that really annoyed me in this episode, and the way that Arya acted towards Sansa. This scene too, though, it was a nice scene. This scene actually made me very emotional when she's telling the story about how she came into the courtyard when everybody was gone and she was shooting the arrows. She must have shot 100 times, and when she finally hit the bullseye, she heard a clap. And it was Ned overlooking her, clapping for her, encouraging the route that she wanted to take as a person in this world, in this man's world, that she wanted to be a fighter, a knight.
Shit, I thought she was talking about Hodor. Yeah, it's a fucking sick scene then.
And then that story, that great emotional, loving story about the relationship that she had with her father, which was great in season 1. I love those scenes between Ned and Arya. It turns to, oh yeah, well now he's dead and you helped kill him. And Sansa's like, what? What?
I feel like we're on the same page on this one. I just can't see how Arya doesn't get that.
Well, she's supposed to be the smartest Stark. That's what everybody always says. That Arya's the smartest of the bunch. That she's the one who truly knows how to play the game. She's ruthless. When Jack and Nagar says, a girl has no honor, she just shrugs. Yeah, fuck you. She's mad about this. She can't understand that Sansa was put in this situation. I don't get it.
It really doesn't make sense. The only thing I can see is that she kind of can tell that Sansa really wants Winterfell and to lead the North herself, and she's just trying to, I guess, anger her into maybe getting something out of her. Where maybe she knows it's a bit of a stretch, but maybe if she brings it up and presses her about it, just goes at her full force, that maybe Sansa will finally admit it. But I still doesn't know.
Sansa made some good points in this interaction, too, when she says, you should be on your knees thanking me. I'm the reason we're here. I took back Winterfell by getting the Knights of the Vale to ride north. Sansa might be the most polarizing character. People, they love Sansa, they hate Sansa. Yeah, she's had a very interesting arc, but I like when Sansa is forceful, when she was responsible for taking back Winterfell. The Battle of the Bastards was lost, and she was the one who got the Knights of the Vale. It wasn't Jon.
I'm 100% on Sansa's side during this whole...
Yeah, I think so.
All these interactions.
And I love Arya, too, which is so weird that I was so against her.
But she's become a little pompous little smartass since
she's becoming a faceless assassin.
Yeah, keep rubbing it in our faces, Arya.
When she said that she was going to reveal the letter to the Lords of the North, she says, what is Lady Lyanna going to say? Lyanna Mormont. What are you going to tell her, that you were just a little girl? Lyanna would have been like, fuck you, Cersei. Fuck you, Pycelle. I ain't writing this letter, bitch.
I mean, but she goes right to the extremes, like, oh, would they stretch your body?
Well, you know what else was a great line? When Sansa says, you wouldn't have been able to survive what I survived. And I thought that was very true, because Arya said, I would have died rather than betray my family. But Sansa was in it for the long game. She was able to survive, and now she can be an adversary for the Lannisters instead of just giving her life to them. That's why I thought that was a very poignant line.
Before the season, I thought there would be forced tension between Sansa and Jon. It turns out it's Sansa and Arya instead. I don't know. It's kind of like, you know that like one friend that takes a little thing and blows it way out of proportion to the point where you're like, what are you talking about? I feel like that's kind of like Arya's doing right now. Do you know anybody like that?
No. Not really. Does it feel out of character? Would we go that far? Because if it's out of character, then essentially they're just dumbing her down to react this way.
It might be different because as the audience, we actually know what happened and seen Sansa's journey where Arya hasn't. You gotta feel like Arya would know that what she's claiming is just outrageous. Like how Sansa is... What does she think? Sansa's just all for herself, working with the Lannisters, trying to bring down her house?
That's not the case, yes. You weren't a big fan of these interactions between the characters up north, but I thought the Hound and Tormund, that was an introduction that I was really looking forward to, because these characters, they're very similar. And I love how the Tormund was able to get on the Hound's good side in a way, just kind of just poking the bear a little bit. When he says, oh, you don't like wildlings? He's like, I don't give a shit about wildlings. I just fucking hate gingers.
He's really taken the fire jokes well as the series progressed.
And he's still scared of it, too.
Season 1, you tell a fire joke to the Hound, he's chopping your head off.
I love the Hound. Yeah, it's so true. What a great character, though. See how far he's come. He's still a prick, but he's got those softer moments, those moments of vulnerability.
But again, it's like, all right, we'll throw in like a nice moment with Tormund and the Hound, and they're laughing and yucking it up, and then, oh, look who saves Tormund later in the episode. The Hound. Remember they had that moment 20 minutes ago? I fucking hate myself right now for, being this nitpicky, because...
You want to hear something very nitpicky? When Beric tells Jon that he doesn't look like Ned, I was like, ugh. In the books, they say he looks just like Ned. That's why Catelyn hates him so much. It's the only son that looks like Ned. Because the whole thing is that Ned and Lyanna kind of looked alike. But
yeah, and the whole
again,
thing is
hinting to Lyanna, we get it.
Yeah.
We understand that she's his mom. You don't have to, you must take after your mother, who probably married Rhaegar. You're probably the prince I was promised.
Beric, we're not up to that yet.
Beric tells him that death is the enemy, and Jon says, we all die. He says, yes, the enemy always wins, but we need to fight. We need to preserve life for those who can't fight for themselves, essentially. And Jon brings back the old, I am the shield who guards the realms of men, which is a cool callback. You know, that's really what Jon is. His whole life has been dedicated to fighting for everybody.
I think that plays into his decision as well to kneel to Daenerys later. Well, not kneel.
Effectively.
Yeah, he just realized it's bigger than him. He really doesn't care if he's king or a bastard or lord, or he is the shield that guards the realms of men. He believes his purpose is to protect man from what's coming, and he puts it on himself to do so.
He's the George Washington of Game of Thrones. The scene between Daenerys and Tyrion, I love the interactions between these characters because I feel like the characters and the actors, they both have chemistry and they bounce off of each other well. You know, Daenerys needs somebody like Tyrion, somebody who's going to keep it real with her, going to tell her the hard truth, and it's not the truth that you always want to hear as the leader, but it's necessary.
Tyrion's been really the only character the whole series that has gone against Daenerys on what she wants to do and has given her counsel that opposes her actions. I mean, you hear Daenerys allude to multiple times now in this episode and episodes past, like, is this for your family? Talking about his Lannister side.
Right.
I mean, I don't think that she obviously thinks that, but...
Remember in Season 1, Episode 2, when Jaime pushes Bran out of the window and Tyrion is talking to Cersei and Jaime that Bran is going to be all right. The Maesters say he's going to live. I want to hear what Bran has to say. And Jaime says,
my dear brother, there are times you make me wonder whose side you're on.
My dear brother, you wound me. You know how much I love my family.
Tyrion's always been a realist. He's always been middle of the road. He's not going to look at a situation with bias or subjectivity just because he's on Daenerys' side. He says to her, I want you to win. I want to see the world that you want to build. But by mass murdering and deceiving these people, we're not doing anything different. You know, you always talk about breaking the wheel. We need to break the wheel. Well, it's time to do something different then, if we want to inspire people to change.
I guess not going away from a monarchy, but more of an inclusive government.
Like a constitutional monarchy in a way. Well, he mentions the Night's Watch. He mentions the Iron Islands.
Elections and things like that nature, where...
They're not perfect, but it's a step in the right direction.
Who's your successor? So, I mean...
Well, the successor thing was very interesting, because it showed Daenerys' fear about her mortality, that one day I'm not going to be here, we need to think about the future, and she was very startled and taken back by these questions. It revealed a lot about her character.
It's like, my dragon are my children.
Yeah.
All hail King Drogon, first of his name.
Right, yeah.
He raises interesting points. I mean, I think we've talked about this a lot, like how the houses are just depleting at this point. You see Martell's gone, Tyrell's gone, Tarly's gone, Lannister is falling apart. There's no real Stark heir after Bran, considering who Jon really is. So all these houses are depleting. Targaryen, Dany can't have an heir, so something has to give at some point. I think a drive away from monarchy.
I think he was referencing democracy.
Yeah, and throughout the whole series, all we hear about these terrible rulers that...
Yeah, and Tyrion talks about how Cersei's power, Tywin's power, Joffrey's power, it was all built on fear, and that power is brittle because everybody beneath them wants to see them die, wants to see them fall. And Daenerys says that Aegon Targaryen, he got a long way on fear. And Tyrion says, yeah, Aegon Targaryen, you talk about breaking the wheel. Aegon Targaryen built the wheel. Ice bears, big as hounds? Well, I guess just big as bears.
Couldn't give us an ice spider?
I thought this was better. This was nuts.
Sick.
I was not expecting this. Out of all the crazy things that happened in this episode, I think this was the one that took me back the most. He was fucking huge.
Yeah.
The Hound's like, oh, that's a big fucker.
The Hound was fucking shook, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, when Beric set it on fire, the Hound was like, I'm out.
So you guys know the rules, fire. I'm out, man.
Yeah, sorry. And Thoros, man, the way that he was getting just tossed.
If Leonardo DiCaprio can survive a bear attack, I think Thoros should.
Yeah, well, R.I.P.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, but that was great. And it makes you think, does the Night King have other creatures that were wandering beyond the wall? Like, could he have hundreds of direwolves in his army? Sansa looking towards Littlefinger for some advice on how to deal with Arya. And what Littlefinger brings up, he says, well, maybe Lady Brienne can help. You know, she's sworn to protect both of the Stark girls. If one of the Stark girls wants to kill the other, then she has to step in. But, I mean, after the scene, that sparring scene, I'm not sure that Brienne can take out Arya anyway.
I mean, I just think it's ridiculous that it's come to this point where Sansa's listening to Littlefinger about possibly having her little sister trying to kill her. Don't you think that's a little fast and rushed and out of, like, nowhere? I mean, they can, like, squabble over what Sansa really wants and if she really wants to be Queen of the North instead of Jon, but I feel like it's just taking it too far.
Well, I don't think it's out of nowhere. These two characters haven't seen each other for a long time. They never had a good relationship, and this letter is, when Arya read the letter, it's going to make her think that Sansa is against the Starks, or at one point she was. Arya's very emotional. Arya, you talk about Daenerys going Mad Queen, Arya's got a bit of a temper on her as well, So this is when things really got started, when they see that, when they see the band of whites being led by that White Walker, and they attack it. That was a great action scene. To see Jon going against the White Walker again with the Valyrian steel sword.
He has their fucking number.
Yeah.
He really...
And, you know, when he kills the White Walker and all the whites die, it's like, oh, good going, Jon, you dummy. But good thing there was one white. And I kind of... Did you feel bad for the white? I was like, oh, why are they bullying him, man? He just wants to get back with his family. And the way that Tormund just knocks him out, he's just squirming for the rest of the episode. I love how they tell Gendry to run back to Eastwatch, and they just run the other way. It looks like they could have at least kept up with Gendry. They could have just followed him. They wanted them to get trapped, like the plot was just working towards them still being trapped there and having Daenerys come save them at the end.
Splitting up also ensures that Gendry, they'll follow him rather than Gendry, and Gendry has a better chance of making it to the wall.
Well, that scene was awesome anyway, even though they did split up when all the whites started falling in the lake.
Can't swim, confirmed. I know a huge question, been prophesized and theorized throughout this whole books and now the series. Can whites swim? And now we've learned that they can't.
Only when they have to pull a dragon out of the water. Then they can swim. And they get giant chains out of nowhere. Ice chains. I'm not an apologist.
Imagine going through that, just sitting around frozen water and just surrounded by ice zombies.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And then Beric says, you know, what the fuck are we supposed to do here? Is there any other game plan? And he's like, we can kill him.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have arrows and spears to just pick them off.
You know,
they're sitting there for 2 days.
Well, the Night King has done this before in Hardhome, where he just taunts them. He's not necessarily trying to defeat them right now. He's taunting them. That's because he knows he's going to win, or he thinks he's going to win, and they have no chance. And look at these.
No, I do think that he was trying to draw a dragon out. Somehow he knows. Well, I guess I kind of like that we don't know what he can do. It kind of makes it fun to speculate.
He could definitely pitch in the majors.
Oh my god, that was a fucking...
He's got a fucking cannon. Oh, it's not. And then Daenerys decides to ride north, and Tyrion says, you can't do this. If we lose you, we lose everything. And Daenerys is like, fuck you, I'm going north. All the fans want to see this. I'm taking all 3 dragons, okay? This is what we saved the budget for. All 3, we're going north.
I could tell it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, and when it happened, it still fucking was like...
I think my main question would be, how fast are the ravens in Westeros? I mean, what the hell? The thing is, they could have crafted this scene of Daenerys saving Jon as a desperate rescue mission. It never felt like any of the characters were in danger, but imagine if Jon's crew, they were being picked off one by one, and Jon was the only one left. He's charging towards the wall. The entire White Army is following him. It would still be very convenient for Daenerys to save Jon, but this is something that we've always expected and anticipated, Daenerys going north. But the stakes of this mission never felt dire. Once Daenerys arrived, I knew everyone was going to get out alive. Well, except for Viserion.
It's sad to see one go, but when you think of it, you think, oh, a dragon can just burn them, and I mean, they're ice zombies, so a dragon would be able to wipe them out pretty fast, but you would like to see...
Yeah, except when you have Mariano Rivera warming up in the bullpen. I love the way the White Walker handed him the spear like a gangster.
It's like they knew. It's like, oh, yep, your plan worked. It's here. Do your fucking thing. They weren't fretting at all. They weren't like, oh shit, dragons. They stood in the same spot, posted up, give me my spear, let me get this motherfucker.
I thought he was going for Drogon.
Yo, he fucking went down like that was...
He got pierced.
Yo, like... I thought fucking Bronze thing, it's like, oh shit, like Daenerys is in trouble. That looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
This thing fucking split him wide open, blood and guts pouring on the whites.
The whole theory that there has to be 3 heads to the dragon. There's going to be 3 dragon riders. Everybody thought, one of the main theories for the whole show, Jon, Daenerys, and Tyrion.
I mean, I've always thought it was Bran, and if you think about it, it still could possibly be Bran.
Yes.
Because who's the only one capable if you had to say, to be able to take over an ice dragon. If there is going to be a third one, and if it's not just like a whole big, misdirection, then it has to be Bran at this point. Because the dragon that did fall was Viserion, and Rhaegal is Jon's dragon.
There's just so many great theories on why Tyrion was supposed to ride Viserion. Do you think this happens in the books?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Ice dragon theories have been around for so long, and you always kind of like, all right, maybe it's a little too cool to happen. We want it so bad that it won't happen, but it fucking happened. There's a fucking ice dragon.
That's going to be the big debate, right? Do they breathe ice or fire? I'm thinking ice.
Has to be ice.
Yeah, that would be, I want to see ice. The major criticism I would have of this episode is I felt like more people should have died. I really thought we were saying bye to at least 4 of them. Not only did it feel like the characters were never in danger, but it felt like the whites were so weak. 6 men taking on dozens of undead whites, and they were just handling them like it was nothing. First season, you fight a white, and it takes you like 5 minutes just to kill one. It took Jon Jon was fighting that white in Jeor Mormont's room for like 5 minutes, and now it's cake, just cannon fodder. It seems like it's too easy for them to be killed.
I don't know. It really didn't bother me. I mean, you think there should be more stakes. You're thinking of, characters we know, like.
That's what this show has always been. That people die in
situations. If you're going to fucking kill a dragon, let me at least have Tormund come back, all right?
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's a really fair point.
The disrespect for a dragon, man.
Yeah, I know.
You cry every time a direwolf dies. No love for fucking a dragon? No.
Yeah, but what has Viserion done? He doesn't even do anything.
He's like...
If you're going to include Benjen in this episode, have him appear earlier in the episode. Have him actually join the team. Give him a moment with Jon where Jon can say, oh, my uncle is still alive. But the way that he just swoops into the episode and saves Jon, it was just unnecessary. With Benjen saving Jon, this would have been a perfect opportunity for Rhaegal to come and swoop in Jon. Jon rides the dragon. That would have been a great moment. This just seemed unnecessary. Jon, just get on the dragon with Daenerys or get saved by Rhaegal. But Benjen out of nowhere? What? Now this Sansa and Arya scene. Another scene that I just hated Arya.
It's one-sided. It's Arya just pushing Sansa into a corner. Literally in the scene, that's what she does.
Yeah, and she picks up the knife. She's threatening her, basically. It doesn't feel like Sansa deserves this.
I don't know if it's meant for the audience to like go against Arya, or they're just trying to make like, who are they trying to portray as the right in this? Because it's definitely not split. It's definitely heavily one-sided. Like, you have to take Sansa's side on this. I don't see where Arya's coming from at all. Yeah. And I guess, knowing what's happened and Sansa and Arya's path, I guess it's easy for me to say that. I just don't get it.
If she thinks she's responsible for Ned's death, then she's kidding herself. Whatever Sansa did or didn't do, Ned was dead already. She wasn't going to convince Joffrey not to say. Even Cersei, they didn't want to kill Ned. They were going to send him north to the fucking wall. They had no intentions on killing Ned. Tywin even said it. Tyrion said it. That it was a dumb decision to kill Ned. The only reason he died was because Joffrey was a fucking nutcase. There was no stopping that.
I guess at this point, Arya is just so skeptical of the world at this point that she really can't trust anybody, and she feels everyone's out to get her or her family, even when it is her own family.
Daenerys finally sees that Jon actually did take a knife to the heart, and he basically bends the knee. This is something that I thought was eventually going to happen. What do you think about his decision?
I think it makes sense for him, after what just happened, and I guess talking to Tormund from before, but I also do think that he didn't have to. Daenerys has seen what's coming and what's going to happen.
Yeah, so at that point, he didn't have to do it. At
this point, it's kind of like, if you don't bend the knee, she's probably still going to fight with you. They're going through all that together, and her seeing firsthand what's coming.
Yeah, she even says, now I'm glad that we went north. Jon apologizes to her for the death of the dragon, and she says, no, I'm glad because I got to see the enemy with my own eyes, and I know it's real.
The whole point of him bending the knee was to have her come help him, and she's going to do that regardless if you bend the knee now or...
And the romance?
It's happening.
Oh, I hope not. I really hope not. Please, Sam, get north. Gilly, please, tell them. Tell them about Prince Rhaegar.
I know I've been critical of it, but, those are just little things that that doesn't ruin it for me. I can still objectively have those problems with it, but recognize the episode as a whole. Look at the other episode 9, so I guess this could fall into that category, episode before the finale. I don't want to say it was the weakest one, but it's definitely not the best. It's not that defining moment of a season, I feel like. Even though the ending was very, a lot of stuff happened and it was crazy, we got to see some epic things, but I felt from start to finish it wasn't as good as past episodes.
If this was the finale, I might be a little bit disappointed, but we still have an hour and 20-minute finale, which who knows what the fuck is going to happen in this. I think the wall comes down by the dragon. God damn!
Noob noob.
Yeah. So Rick and Morty, the Vindicators, they've never been on an episode before. I was completely fooled by that. What the hell?